No game, no life. Episode 1. Sora and Shiro are siblings. They happen to be the best gamers in the world and also our protagonists. After defeating 1,200 gamers, they're given a test game of chess from a mysterious person. They join hands together to win their mystery opponent, and he presents them with a chance to enter a world where games decide everything. They think it's a hypothetical situation until the world around them transforms and they find themselves free, falling into another world. Tet, who calls himself God, meets them as they're falling but is not half as scared as they are. Instead, he lists the 10 covenants that govern their world. The siblings think they'll die from the impact, but they don't. They head into the town of Elkia, winning their way to some new clothes. The losers educate them on how Tet became the last standing deity. By the time they arrive in town, they meet people gambling for the throne, but all they want is some money. So they challenge the first lady they meet. Sora defeats her by cheating, but only because she cheated first. Covenant 6 requires all bets to be honored, and so they take advantage of it. On their way out, Sora informs Stephanie Dola, the king's granddaughter, that her opponent is cheating. Episode 2. Stephanie Dola tracks Shiro and her brother to their room. She complains about him giving her a tip, but not telling her how her opponent was cheating. Sora enrages her, and when she's about to lash out, he proposes they play a game of rock, paper, scissors. He stakes himself and his sister and coyly shuts up about what he wants from her. The game begins, and he bluffs his way to winning on the first try. Stephanie had concluded that all he'd take from her were lodgings, but Sora asked her to fall in love with him. As the 6th covenant postulates, Stephanie has no choice but to comply. Sora asks to live in the palace with her, and she agrees. In this world, humans are called Amadians, and they're the lowest of 16 sentient races because they lack magic. The language spoken here is Amanite, not English. Shiro learns it under a day and teaches it to Sora. After much research, they approach Stephanie about her plans for Elkia, seeing as she lost the throne in a gambling match. The winner, Clammy, mocks Stephanie and even Sora. This acts as a catalyst to make him want to become king. Episode 3. The coronation of Clammy Zell is underway, but when the Kingmaker asks the crowd if anyone is against it, Sora bursts into the meeting. He successfully exposes Clammy for cheating with the help of an elf. She denies it and accepts Sora's challenge. As the covenant states, the challenger, which is Clammy, gets to pick the game. She picks them up from the palace and tries to get Sora to forfeit the match on their way to the game she'd prepared. He outright dismisses her. Clammy picked chess, but with a twist. The characters in this one are life-sized and have a will of their own. The game starts out normal, with Shiro taking the lead. A time comes when she gives orders to her characters, but they do not move for fear of being cut down. Sora notices that the game's more of a strategy game than chess, and infuses fervor into the characters. They come alive and attack Clammy's men. Unfortunately, she uses brainwashing magic to convert Sora's players to her side. He improvises and uses sweet words to win over Clammy's queen, who in turn begins to convert other characters to Sora's side. Episode 4. Clammy hates the outcome of the game and tries to play her trump card. Unfortunately, Sora is smarter. He wins by a landslide, making all of Clammy's players disintegrate. She bursts into tears, and it's an unsavory sight. The Kingmaker tries to crown Sora, but his sister objects. They try to have them both crowned, but the 7th covenant forbids it. They spend the next 3 days playing poker to see who will wear the crown. Eventually, they both take on the responsibility together. Sora solves most of Elkia's domestic issues in a day using his past knowledge from other games. It's speech time, and as the whole of Elkia gathers to listen, Sora declares that they're all weak and should accept it. He makes it sound like their weakness is their strength, and because they are weak, they can make themselves into whatever they want to be. Sora declares his intention to take back their territories, which they'd lost to the other races. Elkia loves his speech and cheers him on, but Stephanie questions it in private. Sora then explains that other races will hear and think that they have someone backing them, so they'll not attack. Later on, they're visited by Tet, who tells them that they can win the right to challenge him after beating the other 15 races. This becomes Sora's new goal. Episode 5. Ever since they took up leadership, Sora and Shiro have left most of the work for Stephanie. She's pissed off and challenges Sora to a game of blackjack. She stakes a chance for Sora to become a decent person, and they get to the game. She tries cheating, but Sora is one step ahead. He counts cards and wins easily. He then makes Stephanie walk around town dressed as a werebeast. She tries to gamble some more, but loses every time until she's left almost naked. Sora already plans to attain the werebeast nation next, and Stephanie discovers that they've not been lazy, but have been busy gathering knowledge. She tells them that there's a flugel in town. The magical creature had won the town library from Stephanie's grandmother, and so Sora and Shiro headed to the library to win it back. Episode 6. Jabril, the flugel, has a sit-down with Sora and Shiro. She asks what their stake will be should she agree to their challenge. Since Jabril had spoken highly of knowledge, Sora pulled out a tablet with 40,000 books on it. Jabril is immediately taken, and he inspects the tablet. She then proposes that they play a game of materialization shiratori, a game where you mention any word that's not fictional and it appears in real time. But if you mention a word that's already in the room, it disappears. Sora agrees to the terms and chooses hydrogen bomb as his first word. Jabril quickly protects them. They continue to play until Sora makes certain that all the private parts and clothes of the girls are gone. They win by beating Jabril with science knowledge, taking away oxygen, the lithosphere, and finally Collins force, thus creating a hypernova that explodes and kills Jabril first. This secures their victory, making everything return to normal. Jabril submits herself and everything she owns to Sora, as per the stakes of the game. Episode 7. Jabril moves into the palace with Sora, and he seeks out her knowledge on how to tackle the werebeast of the Eastern Confederation. Meanwhile, Clammy is still hiding away in the forest, colluding with Fi, the elf. Back in the palace, Jabril informs Sora that she's gone against the werebeast and failed woefully. Apparently, they have the ability to read minds and wager on their opponent losing memories of the game as part of the stake. Jabril teleports the whole team to the Eastern Confederation's embassy in Elkia. They were the only ones dumb enough to challenge the Confederation in the last decade and lose half their territory to them. Sora talks down on the previous king, and this really upsets Stephanie. She goes to her room to cry and remembers the key her grandfather had given her. It was meant for the next king of Elkia, but Stephanie doesn't think Sora is worthy. Jabril calls her to the library, and she hides behind a shelf as Sora goes on about his vision for humanity. She's moved to tears and hands him the key. It doesn't take them time to discover her grandfather's hidden room. Within it, Sora finds proof that all the lands he'd bet on during his reign were, in fact, on purpose. Episode 8. Sora and the rest of the team head to the Eastern Confederation embassy in Elkia, having been invited over by Hatsuse Ino. Jabril and Ino hardly get along until they reach the top floor. There, they meet Izuna, Ino's granddaughter, whom Shiro and Sora immediately take a liking to. Sora wagers Stephanie's pants and asks Ino to wager Izuna's. This hypothetical helps Sora disprove the rumors of werebeasts being mind readers. He goes on to analyze the reason why elves and other races are made to forget the specifics of each gamble with the Confederation. They stipulate that it has to be video games, and this is a category the blank will never loosen. Ino is surprised as to where Sora got all his information from and begins to roam his mind for possible answers. Sora watches as Ino tries to hold back his frenzy, and in that moment, he bets the lives of all of humanity on their next gamble. This surprises Ino even more. Sora and his team exit the embassy as they await news on the date of the game. The whole of Elkia came out to protest after news spread of the risk Sora planned to take, but this didn't bother him at all. A week after their visit to the Confederation embassy, Sora wakes up and goes missing. Episode 9. Shiro wakes up in a frenzy. Her memories of her brother begin to fade, and this scares her beyond measure. She runs around the palace searching for him, but can't find him. She asks Jabril about him, but Jabril says there's no such person. Shiro has always been her only master. Only Stephanie believes that Shiro may not be lying. Shiro brainstorms, going through all her memories, and she concludes that it is the result of a game. True to her words, Sora had been challenged by Clammy, and the stake was each person's very existence and ownership over their partners. Shiro figures it out after Stephanie trips over some game tiles. Apparently, the game had been set in a pseudo-realm so no one could see it. Shiro thinks about what her brother would do in a situation like that. Sora had previously reserved the right to let their partners play in their stead, and that is exactly what Shiro does. She completes the game and saves Sora's existence. Afterwards, Clammy reappears alongside Sora. He'd given her a glimpse into his mind and turned her into an ally. Episode 10. Sora plans for Clammy and Fi to become his spies. He first tries to do an all-around introduction amongst members of the team. Apparently, Jabril had destroyed one of Fi's elven settlements in the past and was told to lick Fi's boots in atonement. After the introductions are done, Sora suggests that they take a bath together. Only Clammy is against this because she feels she's not curvy enough. Later that night, she finds Sora and Shiro in the previous king's secret room, studying. They emerge the next day and make their way past all the angry citizens to the embassy. Hatsutse Ino welcomes them as they reiterate the rules of the game. It's a 4-on-1 match, Sora's team versus Hatsutse Izuna. Sora ensures he safeguards any memories other than those of the game. Ino then notices Fi's presence, and this throws him off a little. All of these were put in place to curtail just how much the werebeast can cheat. All 5 of them get transported into the game, but Sora and Shiro are not expecting what they see. As certified shut-ins, the Tokyo sky is a scary thing for them, and that's exactly where the game is based. Episode 11. As they arrive at the stage for the game, Sora has to remind his sister that that's all it is, a stage. The game is called the Living or Dead Series Special, Love or Love 2. Ino begins to announce the rules. He tells them that they'll have to shoot love bullets at NPCs to get extra points, but when they shoot Izuna, they win, and vice versa. The match begins swiftly, but Sora asks what happens if you shoot your teammate. It turns out that they'll fall in love with you. Izuna tries to corner Shiro, but she's too talented and dodges all her shots. Even Sora tries a long-distance shot at Izuna, but she dodges it. They're cornered, and Sora leaves his sister to calculate a way out of the situation. It turns out Ino has been cheating by feeding Izuna the locations of Sora and his team. Shiro finally solves it, but gets turned to Izuna's side. She attacks her brother, but he dodges it barely. She chases him to the top of a skyscraper and shoots multiple love bullets at him. She's more surprised when he doesn't dodge any but jumps off the building with her. He shoots his sister square in the chest and brings her back to his side. Izuna jumps after them, but Jabril also jumps. Sora and Jabril then shoot 2 bullets at Izuna from opposite sides of the freefall. Episode 12. As the bullets are about to meet Izuna, she transforms into her second form, a form the werebeast call Bloodbreak. She becomes faster and more agile, and she follows Sora and Shiro with all her might. As soon as they touch the ground, Sora tries to calculate the pattern of Izuna's attacks, but it's a waste of time. She shoots down both him and his sister in one go. Izuna begins to grow weary after maintaining her second form for too long, and as soon as she's become her normal self, she's shot from behind by Stephanie Dola. Everyone wonders where she came from and why no one sensed her coming. It's because Sora had put her in a trance up until that very moment. Ino reluctantly announces Elkia as the winner and relinquishes their territory on the Lucia continent to them. Izuna follows them home, and while they all share a bath, the Shrine Princess of the Eastern Confederation crashes their party. She gets Sora to wager the autonomy of the Confederation, and Sora gets her to wager access to all their advanced facilities. It all comes down to a coin toss. Sora gives the Shrine Princess the chance to call it before the coin touches the ground. She uses her blood break to predict it'll be tails, but as it falls, Sora adjusts a tile and the coin gets stuck upright. He proposes a draw, leading to both of them getting what they want. The Shrine Princess is intrigued by his intellect and aggression toward this proposition. The next step now is to defeat God himself. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing content.